Hello and welcome back to Minus 16. So we are just the two of us this week, but there's a fair bit to go through. I think we're going to be talking about the latest Trifold phone from Samsung, my attempts to use the iPad this week, why people seem to be hemorrhaging away from Apple at the moment, from the top tier of the design team, and also some social media bans that have hit Daniel, which presumably means that they're going to begin rolling out around the rest of the world, I would have thought. That's what we've got in store for you this time around on Minus 16. Daniel, how's that new studio of yours?
Yeah, it's awesome. I actually, it's interesting you didn't mention the Ashes first.
Well, you know, we're a tech podcast. I'm not allowed to mention the Ashes, am I? Yeah, I shouldn't. Yeah. Okay, we'll briefly go
I feel
through
like
the
if
Ashes.
it was going better, you would have mentioned it, but I think the status quo indicates that you didn't.
Yeah.
So it's great. I've got it actually set up over there in my little Dex workstation and get to sort of check on the score, just let you know that Australia are in front now. So
Thank
anyway,
you.
studio's great.
Yeah.
As you can see, it's all set up behind me.
Yeah, it looks fantastic. It's a real nice backdrop, and being able to just walk in, set down, and get to work straight away makes such a difference, doesn't it?
So underrated.
It really does. I've kind of taken it for granted now because I've had this studio, I suppose, for 2 years, whatever, and the fact I can just leave it as it is, walk in, and it's just there, good to go. Priceless.
Beautiful.
So at the end of the year, clearly things were a little bit slower when it comes to gear release. But I was on the train this week going up to London, another day of shooting photos. And I got another feature on Lightroom as well this week as well, which I was pretty stoked about. But anyway, so I was on the train going up to London and I saw a video about this new trifold from Samsung.
Yeah.
So I thought
Doesn't that look amazing?
Yeah, I mean, I wonder how many creases we can now get on a phone. I mean, it's going to be like a crisscross fold. I mean, how many screens can we have, and when's it going to stop? Okay,
let's not talk about the crease.
Okay, yeah, the crease. So I'm going to pretty much let you go with it. Now, I know the headline news is the price. They seem to think it's going to be around about $3,000 on release, right?
It's launching in Korea next week, and it's about, with conversion, just a shade under $2,500 US. So I don't know what's going to happen when it eventually launches in the US early next year, what that conversion will look like. But it's right now, if you want a Korean unit, you'd obviously have to then pay tax and whatever to import it into the US. It's $2,500 US.
Oh, I mean, I'm not a foldable user, but I know you are. So the Trifold, is that what they're calling it? Is it Samsung Trifold?
The Z Trifold, despite it only folding twice.
I have actually got a tab ready open for it. So have a little talk about it while I put it up so people can see it if they're watching the pod.
Yeah. So it's like I said, it's called the Trifold, but it's more or less a double fold, because I guess they're calling it a trifold because when it unfolds, it folds into, there's three sections of the screen separated by two creases, which people love to talk about with a folding phone. I didn't know where I was going to talk about this specific thought that I had, but I'm just going to mention it now. The human body has been around for what? Thousands, millions, hundreds of thousands of years.
Okay.
And we are yet to solve the crease in our elbow. And so human biology hasn't solved it, and yet we're expecting a company to somehow solve the crease on displays. Anyway, that's my rant.
We don't look at the elbow. We don't need it to be crease-free. Would be my kind of comeback to that.
When you like have wrinkles, right?
Yeah.
Like that wrinkles your face over time. So like what? It just happens. When you fold something, there's going to be a crease. And you can find ways to mitigate it. It's frustrating that that's the first thing people say. Oh, what about that crease? And I know you didn't say it. I'm not talking about you.
No. I mean, I've only watched a couple of videos, and both of them have highlighted that the creases are quite prominent, and also it seems to be quite delicate. Both the glass on the inside seems very scratch prone, and the kind of fiberglassy on the outside. Again, from a couple of videos I've watched,
they are using a new material on the outside. I think where I really find this product exciting is a few weeks ago I was using a Tab S11, which is like a smaller version of the big Ultra. And I just really liked that size tablet. 11 inches, I think, was like the perfect compact tablet size, great for entertainment, great for note-taking and computing. And this has got Samsung DeX inbuilt into the main display. And I think that kind of changes how you can use it, because you can actually have it, and there's like a case that
Yeah,
has a stand, and you can prop it up like a display, Bluetooth keyboard and mouse, and we're good.
that's, I think, showing the deck side of it.
Well, yeah, that's Dex on an S24 Ultra by the looks of it. I think there it is. Is that it? That's a portable display. So
Yeah,
he obviously couldn't get to use Dex. Oh, here we go. He's checking
yeah,
it out now. So the fact that it's got and transforms the inner display into like a desktop experience, that for me is automatically what sells what this is. And the fact you can have multitasking, you can have multiple apps next to each other. Watching videos on that is going to
yeah.
be sensational. Traveling at home, yes, you're going to have to unfold it twice to get to that inner display. There's no in between like the Huawei one has. But the fact that I think Samsung's protects the displays better, because the Huawei one, the folding display is always exposed. And like you said about durability, it's going to be a bit of an issue if you're always exposing that foldable display.
I mean, it clearly seems that it was made very much with the DeX market in mind. It's a tablet, a phone that's almost heaven sent for the DeX experience. I can get that. I was just wondering, given that foldable sales are slowish anyway, are we ready for a trifold when foldables still haven't become sort of a commonplace device?
That's a really, really good question. I, on some levels, agree. I don't think this is going to sell. And it's a huge shame, because it's got so much potential as a category, but
Yeah,
it's just not going to capture enough people because it's not being done by Apple. And also, I think it's launching at an awkward time of year. It's not.
really awkward.
It's going to launch at the start of next year alongside the S26 series. That's
Will that
going to
be the
take a lot of
global
headlines.
release of it? Yeah,
I think the global release will be kind of tied close to that. But yeah,
but
I don't know. It won't. It won't steal sales from Apple. It'll just Samsung users who love foldables will go for this because they love foldables. That's really
yeah,
about the crux of what's going to happen.
yeah. I mean, I get why they've done it. It's a huge development that they've made, being able to make a trifold phone that is still actually kind of vaguely portable. Not, I know it is quite heavy. It's about 300. Yeah, it's about 310 grams, isn't it? So
Definitely heavier than most
it's a big
brands.
boy. But again, it kind of falls into line with what you've said about Samsung many times. They do this ad hoc releases in the middle of nowhere for no. Why not wait to release it at an actual event? Am I missing something there? Do they think that by releasing it as a standalone now will garner more headlines for them? I don't get it.
No, I think their release strategy for special products like this is to release them without much fanfare, without much sort of media coverage. Although they did it differently this time. They got Mr. Who's the Boss out to
Yeah.
Korea and got him to make a video about it, which is very against what they normally have been doing for these special one-off releases. But they usually use this type of product almost as like a beta test for the real one when it drops properly.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
last year, they did the Fold Special Edition, which only released in 2 countries, Korea and China, almost as like a showcase of this is what we can do. It's like a tech demo that's a consumer product. So they can say to people, hey, Samsung's still innovating. We're still here. We're still the innovative brand. So even if the trifold doesn't sell, it's
They've
really just
innovated.
a marketing showcase of this is what our innovation and our R&D can do. Stick with us,
Kind,
because if this is what this
yeah.
is where we're heading.
Kind of like concept cars, isn't it? It's that idea that, I saw this week that I think it was Aston or Jag, one of them released a concept car and we're driving around London. It's only there to turn heads. It's there to make the brand look good. And also, if I was to think of a foldable phone, the very first brand I would think of is Samsung. Absolute given. I know there are others out there, but they're the kings. They are the ones that have kind of mastered it and made it as good as it can be. The quality of the ones I felt, the hinge, all of that feels really, really well engineered. You just think of Samsung on foldables, don't you? So I can see why they're doing it to secure that position. But then,
Especially
also,
especially as a global foldable force. Like a lot of brands launch foldables, but they're not available everywhere.
yeah,
Whereas Samsung have that global availability. Yes, the trifold isn't going to be, but the fact that they're releasing it in more than just their home market now showcases that potentially they're ready for it to push on. But yeah, it's definitely a consumer grade marketing ploy.
I assume that pitching it as quite a prestige device. It's got the Snapdragon 8 Elite in it. It's got a large battery, like 5,600 milliamp hour battery in it. So it's obviously a premium device.
Yep, comes with a charger, comes with a case.
Oh yeah, it's got a 45-watt charge,
45-watt
case,
fast charging, comes in the box. So I think they're really pinning this as high-end luxury, and I don't think they're expecting everyone to go rush out and buy it. They know that there's a market that's niche for it, but it's not really about people buying it. It's about showcase and showing everyone, flexing their R&D muscle.
Yeah.
This is what we are.
And it's damn thin as well, isn't it? Under 4 millimeters at its thinnest.
3.9 when it's unfolded.
Crazy
mental.
Thin. Is there any chance of you getting your hands on one? Or
I don't know. I'm trying to find avenues. Trying to sort of work on a deal with the guy I worked with last year with the Fold Special Edition. But he's even saying that, this is going to be very tricky to get quickly, and it'll be exy. It'll be very pricey. So I don't know, fingers crossed, but I'm not holding my breath. I'm not expecting anything. it's great that Samsung are doing it. That's all I can say. It's great.
Yeah, and I can totally understand why. I was really surprised because I hadn't heard anything about it. And suddenly I was sitting on the train, and there were these videos. Obviously, the day dropped, the embargo dropped, and suddenly these videos were appearing. But then, kind of segueing from that, which is really the only big gear release that fits into our show, certainly, is when do you stop using a trifold and start using an S Tab? And which then leads into my kind of week with the iPad I've had this past week. So, I mean, obviously, when it's fully open, it's basically a tablet, isn't it? It's I guess a small tablet, right? So
all of the software that it's got is the same as what's on the tablets. Every single bit of it.
Isn't it going to effectively kill off their tablets, or is it that a different market? I suppose the tablets are much more affordable, aren't they?
Tablets are affordable. Tablets don't have any durability concerns. Tablets are like the purpose device, and most people will have a phone already, a slab phone, and they won't think, I'll replace my phone with another phone that's also a tablet. They're like, I'll just go buy a tablet. That's kind of the mentality a lot of people will have. The trifold will be for people who probably already have a tablet, to be honest. They just
love tech.
They just love tech. And that'll be the first generation of people that buy this. And then hopefully as the tech evolves, potentially that might expand. But when does it stop being a phone and start being a tablet? Well, I guess it comes down to what you would need a tablet for. If you're someone who uses a tablet for heavy productivity, you might need a bigger battery. And that's where you probably would get a tablet, right? Whereas a phone, you kind of want that separation from your productivity a little bit. But if you're just getting it for entertainment, trifold would be absolutely perfect for that.
Yeah, I guess having said, I'm in my own head, I'm kind of answering my argument now, because having been traveling a lot more recently, it would just be one device I'm taking with me. And you know what it's like when you're traveling, you try to pack as little as possible, and you think, well, okay, that can double up as being my phone out during the day, but back at the hotel or the apartment or whatever, then suddenly it becomes a tablet that I can type on, work on, write on. Yeah, I can see that it has its uses, which I know is what you've always said about foldables as well, that they double up really well into that. And I mentioned, because I hadn't intended to it, but I've kind of been doing almost like a wrap up this year on devices and, kind of how I've been using things. And so I circled back to my iPad Pro this week, and I still can't get myself to be as quick and as productive on it as I'd like. Even fairly simple things. So a lot of the time I still feel it's the apps that are letting it down. For instance, in Lightroom, there's certain masks and features in there that are just not there on the iPad version of Lightroom. And yet Adobe are probably one of the best companies to partner with Apple. And yet there's still features that I found really annoying missing that I then had to pass it back over to the Mac. So I was trying to retouch a photo on the way back on the train. I could get 80% of it done, but the few little finesses I wanted to put on there were missing. The same is true, fun enough, when I write. Now, writing, clearly, that's not even not going to break swell now. So I write in an app called Ulysses. Easy. Then I add photos into it. Now, that's where it gets more complicated because, of course, then I have to sort of retouch the photos in Lightroom, reduce them in size in Photoshop, put them into a folder, which is then in the downloads folder in the dock, and then try to add them in. And I wanted to prove to myself I could do it, which I could. but tablet life still doesn't fit in as well for me as Mac life. I really wanted it to. I'd love to be a real heavy user of the iPad. I'd really like to adopt into that. Because again, I went out to London just with one phone and the iPad. That was it. And I spent the whole day just working on the iPad. I wrote on the iPad, everything. It did its job. But I just still found it a slower way of working. Now, I don't know if that's me just because I'm sort of age old into desktops and Macs. I don't know. It works seamlessly. And certainly the multitasking now, the amount of screens you can have open. Yeah, that was great. I could have tabs open to look at things I was referencing while I was writing. And the apps do work. But YouTube, notoriously, again, is really bad. I don't know what it's like on the Samsung tablets, but trying to answer comments in YouTube Studio on the iPad is painful, I find, because you get to a point where it just freezes and you have to go back to it. The keyboard, again, was freezing on me. I just was hitting my turn. Nothing was happening. I had to disconnect the iPad, put it back onto the keyboard. And that's the official £300 or whatever it cost me Apple keyboard. And it just, still had its issues. I don't know. I wanted to come back to it with fresh eyes, fresh blood, enthusiasm. I still couldn't quite make tablet life mine.
Yeah. I think tablets have a ceiling for capability, and it's not to do with the hardware of the chip, especially on iPads. It's definitely not to do with the hardware of the chip. It's the OS. The operating system is limited by design to stop you pushing past the threshold of workflow that you need. There's almost like a I don't know is it a Venn diagram where the circles overlap?
Overlap, that's it, yeah.
Right? There's like probably a Venn diagram that you could make up. We're not going to. That would sort of showcase the overlapping of a Mac and an iPad. And then but the productivity element of the iPad, or the workflow element, it would overlap a little bit, but then the Mac would just have and even Windows PCs, which I give the hand to productivity to a little bit more, they would also have more that you can do from it for that type of work, for your Ulysses, for your Lightroom, because the apps are full desktop apps and they're not limited by the software on the operating system. But then the entertainment side of a tablet, that would absolutely trump the entertainment side of a laptop. So it just depends on what your ceiling of productivity is, whether you can get away with a laptop for pure productivity and then entertainment as well. But once you go past that threshold, it's very difficult to justify exclusively working on a tablet, because you really would need that extra top sort of solution.
And that's, I proved to myself that, I know it sounds simple, but writing a blog actually, there's a fair bit to it. Certainly by the time you put in hyperlinks and by the time you add photos, all of that, it's a workflow. I've got used to it on the Mac, and it's an important part of what I do. And I proved that I could do it on there. But interestingly, Grammarly it did a lot of checking for me, and fine. Then I passed it over to the Mac, and Grammarly found different stuff on the Mac. And I'm thinking, well, it's the same app. And again, it's limited for iPad. It's just so frustrating. Grammarly's, I think every writer uses Grammarly. And I thought, right, it's done it and checked it on the iPad. I'm good to go. And I thought, no, just have interest. I'll see what happens on a Mac. Highlighted totally different punctuations more than anything, fun enough, commas and full points and things like that. I just found the experience this week hasn't moved on as far. It's the first time I've really heavily used it since the whole new multitasking and the new OS. And it was great. I love using it. Yes, as an entertainment device, it is fantastic. And I'll probably how often do you pick your tablet up, honestly, away from talking on YouTube videos about it? How often do you pick it up during the week to use?
I have been using it a lot as a bit of a desk companion on my editing desk to get access to my Samsung ecosystem of my scripts, my emails, photos, anything else like that I kind of need. It kind of sits here. It's not here now, but it sits there. And I use it a lot as well for a camera monitor. So I have my script on one side, camera monitor on the other. And then I take it to trivia every Wednesday to use as a score enter. So I enter the scores of the trivia. So I'm not like this big, massive tablet user that smashes the use case of it for really pushes it past any sort of limits that it's capable of doing. But I also use it a lot for entertainment, especially when traveling. Like if we go somewhere that doesn't have a TV in the room, that is the number one device we watch stuff on, because it's
so I know you're going on holiday soon. You'll take the tablet with you?
Tablet will be there, but I will use it in a different way for the trip. I'll plug it into the TV in the room via HDMI, and then use Samsung DeX to cast the streaming platform that we're going to be watching on the TV.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the use case where I sort of push it to, because I know its limits. I know, and people are like, oh, you should do a video on how you can use the tablet for video editing. I'm not going to do that, because I know the limit that it has, and I know that my video editing, it won't sustain it, because there's no audio, the touch controls are finicky, like the timeline's finicky. It's just not going to work for how I edit my videos.
I did see that Premiere Pro is now available on iPhone, and I assume on Android as well. But I just thought,
No,
who the hell?
not on
Oh, it's not.
Android.
So it's just for
No,
iPhone.
just
But
for
I
iPhone.
thought, what sort of person, what sort of beast is going to want to sit and try and edit on Premiere Pro on a small screen? A 7-inch screen.
Especially when there's
that?
no desktop mode for the iPhone as well.
It makes
it's
no
the most
sense.
confusing release. Like Premiere Rush was the perfect phone editor, but they've discontinued it now, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
It's just very, very bizarre. It's a very bizarre release.
And again, this time around, I didn't bother with Final Cut and editing on there. I did a video about that ages back. Yes, I can do it. Yes, the multicam feature is really useful. But again, it's just slower. And why put pinch points in your workflow, in your day-to-day life, when there's a quicker way of doing it, just to prove that you can do it? It just, iPads, I so want to be that person. I really would love to be that person that could use an iPad, but this week has proven that it's still not quite there for me yet. So
I think if you were emailing, if you were scripting, and if you were editing shorts, even is probably the ceiling. Maybe a bit of Apple Pencil work, where you design work or something. Well, that's probably where it could go. But if you need to push beyond, then I feel like a MacBook just kind of makes more sense. But then we're kind of lucky enough, or I guess we're in a space where both of them can kind of work. Like, what will be an iPad day, what will be a MacBook day.
Yeah.
And
100%.
Apple kind of realized that too, right? Because they allowed the iPad to be used as a display. So they know people's going to have it there. So like, oh, well, let's make it useful, because it's otherwise just a doorstop.
And we know we're getting through to the end of the year now, when all the replays come up. So this week, I have got it here somewhere that, where is it? Yeah, there you go. I've got to find it on my Mac to, there you go. So my replay came out on Apple Music of what I've been listening to, how many hours, because I don't listen to Spotify at all. I'm purely an Apple Music boy. And I was listening to a lot of early Luther albums this year. I take my hat off. I was into that heavily. So again, I only mention that because it turns out now that YouTube are doing the same version of it, aren't they?
YouTube are now
doing it called Recap.
Yep, YouTube, and it's powered by AI, so I'm pretty sure it's entirely AI driven.
Yep. So it obviously looks at your.
It's a bit of fun. The fun part is being seeing
user?
A lot of.
I assume you're a Spotify user.
Yeah,
right,
Samsung and Spotify have a
partnership.
Have a partnership together. Yes, I have done my Wrapped. Did it yesterday.
Right. Okay.
Top artist is Taylor Swift. Second artist is Good Charlotte. And then third artist was Oasis. So that's my top 3.
Oasis, eh? I remember you said you went to their concert and you loved it.
They gave a listening age. My listening age was 47. Because I've been listening to a lot of 90s music. So I guess they just assume that I'm...
I just said you gave me a listening age. Quickly seeing, no. I've played 250 artists this year. I've listened to 50,000 minutes. I listen to a lot of music. And my top 4 artists, you can tell that I'm a soul and black music lover. It was Luther, Grover Washington, Heatwave, and Maze. There you go. That's what I've been listening to this year, apparently.
My second top podcast was our podcast. So there you go. Flying the flag.
The only way it could be. The only way it could be. Good boy. Now, again, having come out of YouTube Recap, it's time to start talking YouTube. And things have changed dramatically for you this week.
Oh, yeah. Australia as a country has just taken the axe to social media for under 16s. Like,
okay,
so banned every major platform for 16-year-olds and under.
Right, so let's have a little run-in. What led to this happening? Were you aware? I mean, you're a father with 2 kids. Yeah, I know your daughter's too young for any kind of social media. You mentioned that your son's probably at that kind of bubble point where it was going to be aimed at him. So has there been any big major issues in Australia? cyberbullying or, anyone?
I feel like
What's
there
led
was
to
a
this point?
case.
'Cause this is huge. This is huge.
Big, big. I feel like there was a case maybe a few years ago, maybe even longer. I don't know specifically, around cyberbullying, and there was like maybe someone took their own life off the back of some cyberbullying, and it kind of just led to discussions around social media and like the impact of it for the youth. And then the Labor government got in power. Labor is, yeah, it's the equivalent of your Labor. It's the opposite
Yep.
of um, the right wing party, whatever we have here in Australia. It's the same as you. Anyway, they put forward a proposal a few years ago or a couple of years ago about banning social media for under 16s. And it was all the big platforms, Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok. And they kind of just had the thing about they were being targeted with the wrong information. And the algorithms are not harmful to the youth. They're not harmful. They are harmful to the youth.
Mm.
And I think YouTube got added late in to the bill. It wasn't there originally. Before the bill passed, they put YouTube in. It got voted on and went through and passed. And then just on Monday became law. So YouTube was part of it. So the way it works with YouTube is you can't, if you have an account as an under 16-year-old, or at least you did have an account, it got signed out and removed and completely abolished. That includes if you had your own channel. So if you were a YouTuber under 16s and you were uploading videos, that channel's gone. You no
I was
longer
just going to
have a
ask, so
channel.
that you can't do that. You can't have I mean, I know there are stories of
Nope.
some young creators making a really good living for themselves
Yeah.
at 14, 15, 16. That's gone.
There were families who have YouTube accounts for their kids that have like prominent subscriber counts, and they've had to move. They've moved to the UK. They moved somewhere else to get away from it before the ban came in play. Because, yeah, so they're gone. You can't subscribe to people. You can't like any comment. You can't comment anything. You effectively don't have a YouTube account. You can watch YouTube and you can watch videos, but you can't do anything with the video. And then the algorithm doesn't feed you stuff that you've watched. It just
So there is no algorithm.
There is no algorithm. It's just whatever is trending
You
for that
search
day
for.
from whatever popular YouTuber and whatever you search for. That's it. And
So-
if any parent decides to make one for their kids and put the age above 16, I think there's parameters in place that it will learn what you're watching, or like kind of see that it's being geared towards children, and then close the account down.
Okay. And then, but equally, if a kid's still able to search, say, a kid of 12 is on the sofa by him or herself and they're searching, they could search for anything on YouTube, right? Has the algorithm somehow been tailored that you can't search for
I think you're
war
right,
hate
because I
or
think
war
that's
crimes
I think that's what that article that you had up from the BBC was alluding to, is that at the moment, or at least it was, parents had parental controls where they could actually police the YouTube account and sort of put restrictions in place to stop kids from accessing content. And I kind of agree with that in a way. And the Australian Communications Minister said, if they're reminding us that it's not safe, then that's a YouTube problem. I'm like, yeah, but it's also the parent should have the right to at least parent their kids in the right way. I get there's
How
a
they see fit,
responsibility of the government to help and support, but a blanket ban is excessive. I get that there's some platforms where I agree with it. Snapchat for kids, there is no way that you should give an under 16-year-old access to taking photos of their environment in any form with their location attached to it and broadcasting it. And then having no way for parents to access that, because Snapchat, especially on iPhones, you can lock access to Snapchat.
Of course,
so there's a pin, and that can be a separate pin to what's on your phone. So then parents are just shut out. Their kid could be talking about anything and to anyone, and there's no way of knowing. And I kind of agree with that element of it as a parent myself, especially. But the YouTube one, I feel like, is a bit of a hard one to swallow because of the fact that it's got educational content on there for kids.
It's a reference platform as much as anything, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I mean, it's Google with pictures, essentially.
I would say it's probably more important for kids to have a good access to YouTube than potentially Wikipedia, especially in the age that we're in now. Kids learn by watching and doing things. and
Totally.
they
Yeah.
can look up tutorials on how to cook, how to do a particular sports move, and how to build something. And now I guess they can still do that, but then they lose the ability to have it be personalized. And maybe
Which is
that's the
part.
whole point.
Yeah. Well, it's a strength and weakness. Sure, I can see why being personalized could be a bad thing. And we all know how quickly the algorithm tailors to. I mean, it's spooky how quickly it zeroes in on what it knows you're listening to. And equally, we all know cross-platform. There was, I forget what. It was a camera I was looking at this week. That's right. It was a Canon R50V. I was looking at it purely on YouTube. Suddenly, I go to Instagram, two totally different companies, and suddenly my feed is full of adverts for the Canon R50V. And it's
Same
okay.
when I search for something on Google. Search something
Yeah.
on Google, straight away Instagram serving me ads for that exact thing.
And I
And
get, and
they
that's what you
work.
want to say from your kids, right? I get that. You know, if the algorithm's that powerful, it can be cross-platform. Maybe that's why they had to just blanket it all. I know we mentioned WhatsApp at the beginning, and that's not been banned, but I'm
Not part
guessing
of it,
that's
no.
because that's more of a personal one-to-one, isn't it? You know, you're not sharing locations with somebody that you don't know. At least you'd hope.
And you have to have their contact information. It's not algorithmic.
Yeah,
Like Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp are two of the same sort of things that
yeah,
aren't banned. But
yeah.
Facebook, Instagram, anything where it's an algorithm that's serving you something, like TikTok especially, I think that's probably one I kind of agree with, because TikTok has been a dangerous platform with the trends that go on there, like the
It can
viral
be
stuff.
very toxic, can't it? Very quickly, it can suck you in. I've never
It might
used it. I haven't got the
hopefully
app, but
put an end as well to kids doing the, I don't know if you've heard of it, 667. Like someone
yeah,
says
yeah.
the number's 67 and kids just say it with this. And I'm like, please don't do that. It doesn't mean anything. You're not contributing. It's annoying.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is that also, if it's rolled out in Australia, you'd have to say that's probably a blueprint that it's not going to stop in Australia, because other countries will be watching now and seeing how effective it's been and seeing what improvements it's made to child welfare, mental health welfare. You can guarantee that it's not. You know, we won't be far behind. I'm sure the States, okay, it's a much bigger fish to fry. But other countries you can see following suit, because for Australia to do that this quickly, from what I saw on the BBC there, they said it was rolled out pretty damn quickly as well.
The law went into effect. Well, they passed the law earlier this year, and then it went into effect on Monday. So it's been about probably a year process, I would say.
Yeah, but
Which
for a law
for
that big, that's
government, it's quite fast. Yeah, it's quite quick.
yeah, it
I
is.
also, if America, this is, sorry, I don't want to get too political, but if
Mm,
America implemented it, it would be
mm.
funny that they would have more stricter controls over social media than they do their guns. End of political conversation.
A point very well made. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know if that one just came to you, but that is very, very pertinent. Exactly.
it
Yeah.
did. It did.
You can't, you can go and shoot pretty much anybody, but you can't have an algorithm feed. Yeah.
I don't know.
Explain that one away. Yeah. If you're 16, no, you can't, no watching videos, but sure, if you want to go and buy a gun.
But the far right people who over here who are heavily into conspiracy stuff, they've thought that this ban is about government ID, and they want everyone to put their ID online, and they want to check and verify your
Yeah.
age and get access to your information. And it's just, there's no evidence to support that that's why they're doing this. Like, it's not as if they're asking everyone who's over 16 to upload their ID to YouTube to verify their age. Like, that's not happening. They're just wanting to make sure that the kids aren't getting access to stuff that they shouldn't be seeing. It's very drastic. It's a very drastic action. I don't know if I agree with in total. The theory of it I like, but the total ban on everything
Everything.
is, especially
Yeah.
15-year-olds are absolutely spewing,
I bet they
because they've
are.
got already year to get back into the YouTube game, and they've lost everything. All their algorithms all gone.
Yeah, and also, you know, I'm guessing at 15, same as in, you know, over here, that's sort of getting to exam age, and presumably a lot of them, you know, the ones that wanted to, are using YouTube as a reference engine to find things to help with their studies and exams, and, you know, where they could just cram a lot of information in quickly in a very accessible way. And they probably, like we all do, find creators they like to follow that explained it well, and that whole tool has been taken away from them. And sometimes you do feel that the baby gets thrown out with the bathwater, don't you? That, you know, the Australian government, for whatever reason, knew that they needed to do something. So rather than doing something, they just did the whole thing, just complete
Mm.
shutdown. And 16
I
is that's quite an age.
It's hard. I have at my football club, the owner of the club, right? His son, he's 13, and he subscribes to my YouTube channel, and he comments first on every single video.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone, but he always is first on a lot of them. And then he talks to me at the club and is like, "Oh, you did this video this week. That was really good. You see my comment?" I go, "Yeah, I saw your comment, Archie. Nice." And now he's not going to be able to do that anymore because he's completely lost access to.
Yeah.
He subscribed to gaming channels and he had friends and stuff from the community, and it's all just been wiped out. It's quite a bit, you know. I
It
can
is.
understand,
It
I
is.
can understand the reasoning, but there's another side to it where people build up enjoyment and entertainment and they
Yeah.
feel connected to something, and now that's sort of being ripped away from them. So that can also be a detriment. So anyway, deep.
Yeah, deep. I mean, it was a watch this space thing. I think to say it's not going to be standalone for sure. If you
No.
know now you've pulled the cable on it, it's going to roll out, and you're being used as a litmus paper. People will be watching how effective it is there, and then it will suddenly roll out across other countries. Definitely a little bit lighter on news this week, as we mentioned, but it caught my eye that a load of the high ups at Apple are suddenly being drained away. Something weird is going on. Mark Zuckerberg has got his checkbook out. I've got a tab open ready to show you, but we're losing Alan Dye, Billy Sorrentino. They're both going to Meta. John Giandrea, who's been at the company pretty much forever, he's now stepping down as well. But the first two, Zuckerberg just literally come along, decided, nope, we're having you. And you've got to kind
Is
of
that
wonder.
Alan Dye the one that's responsible for Liquid
UI.
Glass, or the one that oversaw Liquid
the one,
Glass? Yeah,
yes,
okay.
the one that was on WWDC this year. Yeah, as big as that. And the thing is,
Wow.
there's no gardening time. He's starting in December. December 31st, he joins Meta.
In my
which is
time sort of
crazy.
being involved in the industry, right? The 10 years, 8 years of Samsung, and now 3 years of doing this YouTube.
Yeah.
I have never, ever seen an exodus of top level staff from Apple as this. They almost have been so fortunate in their consistency of their staff and their team that they've been able to build stuff together. But it just seems like this year that's kind of all crumbling down a little bit.
And does that?
And I can't imagine what it is.
Yeah, am I being conspiracist here? I mean, what is it that you think? There's something surely going on in the background that top tier like that. Alan Dye's been there for 10 years, and a lot of them have been there for 20, 25 years. And suddenly, one after the other, they're all beginning to drop off. You just wonder what's going on in the background. Are they not happy with the way the company's direction? The narrative of the company? I don't know. It just seems it can't just be money, because all of these guys are going to be paid very well wherever they're working.
I was going to say, it cannot be possibly just down to money, because they're working at Apple, and isn't Apple's meant to have the most amount of resources of any financial company in existence. Like they were the one who was worth $1 trillion more than it before anyone else.
Exactly, yeah.
You can't just imagine they wouldn't walk up to Tim Cook and go, "Hey, got this offer from Meta. Can you match it or beat it?" And he'd be like, "Yeah.
Yeah, we want you, yeah."
If they don't want to be there to match it, then there's obviously a culture shift problem, or
that's what I'm wondering now.
With like disagreements have taken place over AI. I think AI has probably been the big one.
Yeah,
kind of
I was wondering
catalyst as a failure, because Apple don't fail. Apple don't fail.
Giandrea,
AI, you cannot say that hasn't failed. That has failed.
Yeah. They took the wrong direction. And I remember reading something. I wrote something much earlier about John Giandrea. I think he had some fallout with Craig Federighi. One thought it should go that, this is back at sort of ground zero. Which way should we go with AI? And I think John decided it should probably go on the route it should have gone. And I think I might be saying Craig decided, no, we're going this route of trying to make Siri work. And, I think so that could be part of the falling out. And I know you just said that, your time at Samsung, I know you weren't sort of hands-on with the Korean side of it, but you must have got wind down sail of people aren't happy because of.
It's funny you say that. As much as you wouldn't think we're in have hands-on with it. We have the Koreans are not, especially in the Samsung, they're not very subtle. It's almost like they try to be transparent and secretive, but then their actions just tell you everything you need to know. Like they would tell you that a certain product's not moving because we have to all of a sudden in a space of a week create training material, create put it on. It's going to have there's a marketing plan, there's a sales plan, there's all this stuff that we now have to action like that, and that tells you the phone's not selling well. Especially around pre-sale launch time. If the phone hasn't sold well during pre-sale, we have to put on extra activities, and like they got access to sales numbers and all that sort of stuff. So we did kind of see a little bit, but we knew just from their actions that there were panic stuff that would take place, and it would usually be in the form of promotions, and it would usually be in the form of heavily discounting something to try and push things out the door.
Just going slightly sideways in this, and again, it's just an interesting peel back because obviously you worked in the corporate life, very closely, as you just said. Now, I know when we hear about Apple, sort of they decide to take, let's for instance say an ultra-wide camera off of a phone. They can say that's because they looked at the data. Is all of our use on all of our devices being monitored by Samsung and Apple of how much we're using certain features, functions, and apps? And they can literally drill down and say...
There's a little button that you press before you accept your phone. I agree to send usage data.
Send data. Yeah. So do I. Yeah. And
that's optional. And that will send more intense stuff. But there's stuff on there that you don't like. They know which areas of the phone you tap the most. They know they don't know it's you doing it. They just know that from I can see like a heat map of like 70% of phones touch. They check notifications first thing in the morning.
100,000 users. They can see that's where people's thumbs are falling most naturally, or
it's how they knew that the S Pen and the Bluetooth function wasn't getting used because of the fact that they had that sort of information on hand to know that, hey, you know what, this is going to impact a very minimal amount of users. Little did they know that the little amount of users were the loudest, and they were also there's also the intention to use it that they probably didn't measure as well. Another story, but they know. They 100% know what gets used, what doesn't get used. But it's not. No one should be scared about it because it's not like they're reaching into my phone and going, "Oh, Daniel Scuteri is not using Samsung Dex." Shut up. Yes, I am. It's just more of a case of they know the overall usage, and again, they also have very focus groups and polling. They poll consumers regularly. They have lots of marketing that goes out to find out information to sort of know what to push, what to focus on.
Also goes to prove that cold numbers sometimes don't work, and the S Pen is a classic example of that. Okay, the usage wasn't high, but the people that use it are loyal Samsung people that will be there till their dying days, and they like the S Pen, and suddenly it was taken away from them. So sometimes pure data doesn't work, does it? You've got to kind of have a certain amount of empathy and compassion, and actually just listen to the room about what people genuinely want away from numbers. Yes, it might be a smaller percentage of people that are using it, but if that is your core Samsung audience, the hardcore Samsung audience, Christ, they should have a voice, surely.
Yeah, Samsung haven't got the best track record, though. They have a track record of adding things when people make enough of a fuss about it, but most of their track record is they'll introduce a really cool feature, one that is just like, wow, how great is this? Maybe it turns out to be slightly gimmicky, but you're safe in the knowledge that it's there. But then 3 or 4 years might go by, and then Samsung will see the usage data is low, and they'll just pull it. And there's no explanation. There's no replacement. It's just gone. And then we always used to say, oh, don't get too excited about this feature. Who knows how long it's going to last? Because we've been there so many times before where the feature exists and then it doesn't. And you just have to sort of be aware that that could happen. And its perfect example is the One UI 8.5 build that I've got at the moment. Is missing two of my most favorite camera features, single take and dual recording. They're both gone from the software. So I'm like, I hope it's just because it's a beta build and it's not final. But it's another example of Samsung introducing a feature for like 4 years and then just cutting it.
So kind of almost whetting the appetite, showing how good it could be, and then deciding not enough people are using it, so we're going to just axe it. Focus groups, a big part of development.
Yeah, huge. Really. Because they, I think it's polling Apple users. Why aren't they switching? It polls loyalists. They also get a lot of insights from staff. Like I know every launch I ever did, Korea would send us right after we got trained on the new product. What did we like? What didn't we like? What should be better? The top 3 features that we liked about it. top 3 features we didn't like about it. And it was like this 15-minute survey that we'd have to give input to, and then
And they take that
poll
seriously.
Yeah, they even used to actually send out color surveys. So maybe like 6 months before the new product would launch, they'd send staff a survey on color wheel, like colors. Which color palette do you like better? Which,
I see. Yeah.
Which color range would you like better for a range of phones? And they try and get feedback on what colors the phone should be before you even see the phone. It's just a block of color.
To see what's triggering. Yeah, because that fits in with something I heard last week, that apparently Apple are already testing colours for the 18s, and brown and maroon. So there's obviously something in that red hue that they feel is going to be fashionable and on point. And I'm guessing within Samsung, within Apple, there's going to be just divisions that are purely on deciding colourways. What's going to be
There'll
on
be design
point next
team,
year.
software team, hardware team. And within Samsung too, I know we talk about Samsung a lot, but because I know.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
also
You want insight to it.
flagship team, A series have their own team. Like there's dedicated teams just for the model of phone. And sometimes there's crossover where like they build an A series phone that's so good that it then ends up becoming an S series phone, because they're like, well, this can't be launched as an A series.
They got it that right.
So they got it that good.
Yeah.
And because there's no like almost discussion, I don't know. It's a lot.
It's fascinating putting back.
Apple losing their staff. That's a big one.
Yeah, it's something going on. Did you ever go to Korea?
Yes, once. I got to go to Korea.
So to the main
I got to go to their head office. Yeah, I got to go there, and I also got to go to the theme park that Samsung own, the theme park, I should say. It's effectively, we always like to joke that effectively we work for a theme park, because that theme park is like the head of the company pretty much. And then everything kind of funnels out of that. It's a bit weird. Yeah, it's a bit weird. I don't know why they do it. Obviously.
Fascinating insight. I could talk about your days within the corporate world of Samsung until the cows come home. I find it fascinating, never having been in a corporate job at all, and knowing that you were sort of that close to some of the decision makers and what was coming on in an industry that I'm interested in as well. Super fascinating.
Yeah, and it's we always used to say, if you worked like 8 years at Samsung, that's like 25, 30 years in like dog years, because it is just the amount of stuff you face, how quickly things shift, the pace you got to work at. You're exposed to so much different scenarios that you basically get like 20 years of experience. I think it's more intense in the Sydney office. I was in the Brisbane office, so I was a bit removed from some of the chaos, but I got to see the chaos, and sometimes I was part of the chaos. And yeah, it's intense. It can be stressful too when sales aren't going very well. Everyone has to try and do something to contribute to it to be better. You got to come up with an idea. You got to do something different. You've got to change your thinking. You got to pivot. There's just so much pivoting. It's like a LinkedIn feed sometimes.
And no regrets stepping out of it.
Oh, I wouldn't say no regrets. I thought that'd
be a hard no.
No, I always miss the team part of it and working with other people in the space.
You've gone cold turkey, haven't you? Working with a team to working alone.
Yeah, I bonded with people over the hardships, and we found humor in it. I built lifelong friends from it. Like I've been groomsmen at weddings. I've had some people be not godparents to my kids from there.
Really
like it's
close.
been I was a really close. It was like my place that I had. So I regret losing that. I don't regret the life that I got now. Like God. Like 95,000 subscribers now and working for myself, and I still get to play with the phones and be a part of that world, really. So no regrets from that element, just the other part.
The team shift.
No regret.
Right, Daniel, I think we've covered everything we need to get through. I think, by the way, our next episode will be the big 100. I think it's the 100th episode of Minus 16.
I will be on a cruise.
Are you taking a device that we can reach you on, or are you out of contact?
There will be the internet.
Probably divorce you.
The internet.
Darling, I'm just going to record a podcast on this holiday.
Yeah, the internet's also not strong enough on the boat as well, because you're floating around the middle of the Pacific, so it's not going to be strong enough.
In answer that question about why do you think David's not married? Yeah,
and next week's my wife's birthday, so we can't do an emergency pod. So we'll talk on our chat and figure. We'll work it out.
100's a nice little landmark.
I don't want to miss the 100. I don't want to miss the 100.
because I remember when I started, I'm feeling with all those boring stories of the history of how this whole thing started. But yeah, reaching 100 episodes is quite a landmark for us. So anyway, thank you, Daniel. I really enjoyed hearing your stories about Samsung. It wasn't a direction I thought we were going to go in, but I was really super interested about him, what it's like sort of behind those doors that none of us generally get to see. So good insights. Thank you, my man.
Oh,
We
good.
will be back in some form. We episode 100 very, very soon. We'll try and work things out and get something, even if
subscribe so you don't miss
beforehand
it.
or something. Yeah, exactly. Don't forget, we're everywhere. Apple Music, YouTube, on YouTube Music, Spotify with video. So we're kind of everywhere. And if it's not on your Spotify Wrapped or your Apple Replay, we will send the boys round. We need to know why minus 16 isn't right up there like it is on Daniel's. Anyway, we're wrapping on now. Let's wrap it up. We'll be back in a couple of weeks' time, I think, with the next episode and more to talk about then. Until then, take care. We'll see you soon.
See you, everyone.